Breaking news, a Fox News host setting her sights on Jeff Sessions' job as Attorney General. Politico reporting tonight that conservative host Jeanine Pirro, a former prosecutor and judge, has told aides to the president that she wants to replace Sessions. And Politico reports Trump has, quote, dangled the possibility of giving her a top appointment. Trump and Pirro go back decades. She's one of the most loyal Trump defenders on television. The White House declined to comment to Politico, and Pirro didn't respond to their requests for comment. Out front now, Democratic Congresswoman from Texas, Sheila Jackson Lee. She sits on the House Judiciary Committee, so obviously this is very relevant to you. Congresswoman, your reaction?
Well, why not give a global reaction, and that is to first proclaim that we do not have a monarch or a monarchy, and we do not have a government that is guided by the principle of above the rule of law. In that instance, let me calmly say, I have no knowledge of the credentials of this candidate from Fox News, but I do know I have a trail of statements that would make her patently unqualified for any position in the U.S. Department of Justice. That is the independent arbiter. Even though it is an appointment by the president, it is an independent arbiter of justice in America. It is the checks and balances that the people of the United States looks to, along with the United States Congress, to maintain a following of the law, statutory law, constitutional law, and the law created by the courts. I would be very saddened to know that we might have an appointee that will be manipulated by political forces in making very important decisions.
Well, here's what we know. When you talk about things she said, she's a loyal defender of the president. She loves to slam Jeff Sessions and the Russia probe. Here's a few examples.
There is a cleansing needed in our FBI and Department of Justice. Special counsel and former FBI Director Robert Mueller must be fired immediately. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein must be fired immediately. The single most dangerous person to the agenda of President Trump, the Republican Party, and ultimately to all Americans is the Attorney General of the United States himself, Jeff Sessions.
All right, that's loyalty, Congresswoman. I mean, Politico's reporting a former administration official said Trump was sort of dangling a big appointment to flatter her more than anything else. But we do know the president has, of course, hired a number of other friends and television faces, Larry Kudlow, John Bolton among them. Do you think he could seriously entertain Pirro as Attorney General or anything else?
Well, Aaron, if I might say, those comments have literally taken my breath away. What I do know is that the president gets in front of any confirmation process. He gets in front of any counsel from the variety of staff that might have insight onto appointees, and he appoints before he confirms or before he determines that the person is qualified. My breath was taken away because I don't agree with the policies of General Sessions. I happen to believe in immigration reform and comprehensive criminal justice reform and many other issues, the voting rights, but I do believe that he is far from the most dangerous person in the United States. And certainly anyone who makes that statement about any attorney general or any person where it is without facts, certainly a terrorist would be warranted that kind of comment, but that is not the case here. I would be suspect on them even dangling a position in this very independent agency that must protect the laws and the Constitution of the United States.
And as you, the Judiciary Committee, obviously focus on this issue, you mentioned justice, pardons. I want to turn to that because you have written a letter along with your fellow Democrats on the committee to the White House counsel, Don McGahn, asking for information about how the president has been using his pardon power. Of course, he's not been going through the Department of Justice, as is the usual way to do that. What are you worried about?
What I'm worrying about is the abuse and the use of the pardon power to signal to others who are presently engaged in the Mueller investigation and to defang the Mueller investigation, if you will, by getting rid of any of the targets by way of giving them a pardon. The other is that it is important, again, let me use the term checks and balances. I think no matter what political philosophy you have, the American people have a sense that we should have oversight, in quotes, over each other in government. We should be knowing what's going on. And when a president says that they have a singular pardon power and they might use it for themselves, we ask the White House counsel to give us the train of conversation, documents
Yep.
where he engaged with the president or educated the president about power and the power of the pardon, so that we can provide oversight on behalf of the American people. We cannot have a reckless runaway concept of pardon by how should I say it, by whim and will, even though I supported the commutation of the
Yes, you did,
sentencing of
of
this
Alice.
young
Yeah.
lady that was undeserving of a life sentence, and I hope that we can get in a discussion, Aaron, of sentencing reduction.
So let me ask you one thing before we go, Congresswoman. The former president, Bill Clinton, has been under fire this week. You know, he said he didn't owe Monica Lewinsky a personal apology for how he handled himself. He's been saying, look, it was, but I gave a public one. He's been trying to do damage control. Let me just play how it's gone down.
Did you ever apologize to her?
No, yes.
You've apologized to her.
I apologize to everybody in the world.
But you didn't apologize to her.
I have not talked to her.
The truth is, the hubbub was I got hot under the collar because of the way the questions were asked. I was mad at me.
Well, you said in the interview that you did
Not for the first
apologize.
time. Here's what I want to say. It wasn't my finest hour.
Congresswoman, what do you make of this? That he's, saying, look, I didn't apologize to her personally, and I don't need to.
I don't know if I heard that. I was here during that period. In fact, I was on the impeachment committee, and it was a very, if you will, a difficult time for America.
Yes.
I do remember the open apology. We were living it as it was occurring. I don't think, Aaron, that the story is over. I don't think the story or the door is closed for any interaction to comment further by someone who is sincere and wants to correct the record. What I would say is that it was a time when emotions were raw. There was an impeachment proceeding. As indicated by the president, he was indicted by the House. That is an impeachment. And so at that time, you'd have to raise the question as whether or not anything more was appropriate, even though it could have been appropriate. So here's my view. I don't think it is ended. I think that there will be an opportunity for reconciliation, and that would be the appropriate tone that I would think that he in his conversation with his family would have.
Okay, so what you're saying is you understand why it didn't happen at the time. Obviously, a lot of time has gone by, right? Decades. So as to why he's never chosen to do it in that time, look, maybe the Me Too movement, I think we all have to admit, it's forced it back to the forefront. It's made him have to think about it again. You're saying it's not too late. It could and should still happen.
That's what I think, and I think it might, in fact, do so, because I think we know the hearts of both Clintons, and I do believe that they want to do the right thing when they can do so.
All right,
and reconciliation is always a possibility for anyone at any time.